Coming up on Your Week.
Health Canada has now approved the first Canadian clinical trials for a potential COVID-19 vaccine.
America's neighbors to the north are set to begin vaccine trials in the fight against the global coronavirus pandemic. Plus,
what hurt us the most is, it's hard to find people to work.
As businesses reopen in some states, employers are having a hard time bringing back employees. Plus, defiance in the Golden State. We'll look into the California businesses and churches who are pushing back against the public health restrictions in place. All this and more on Your Week. Hello, this is Your Week, and I'm your host, Eddie McCoven. Our top story, a coronavirus vaccine could be on the way in Canada. During a briefing Saturday, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said vaccine trials would begin soon.
Health Canada has now approved the first Canadian clinical trials for a potential COVID-19 vaccine at the Canadian Centre for Vaccinology at Dalhousie University. The National Research Council of Canada will be working with the manufacturers so that if these vaccine trials are successful, we can produce and distribute it here at home. Research and development take time and must be done right, but this is encouraging news.
Trudeau also thanked the Red Cross for their efforts in the COVID-19 public health emergency and said his government would be providing some $100 million to the humanitarian relief organization. The announcement from Canada follows that of an announcement from our own head of state here in the U.S. During a briefing at the White House Friday, President Trump said he's confident the U.S. will have a vaccine for the novel coronavirus by the end of the year, but also stated health experts in both public and private sectors are working on other kinds of treatments as well.
And they've literally been working 24 hours a day. So we've got the time, and we hope to be able to do something by the end of the year or shortly thereafter. But again, it's not solely vaccine-based. Other things have never had a vaccine, and they go away. So I don't want people to think that this is all dependent on vaccine, but a vaccine would be a tremendous thing. And I will tell you, therapeutically or therapeutics, what's going on there is equally as impressive.
The president also said the U.S. is working with multiple allied and non-allied nations so that if a successful vaccine is developed abroad first, the vaccine will be shared with the U.S. and other nations.
So we're working together with many different countries. And again, we have no ego. We have no ego. Whoever gets it, we think it's great. We're going to work with them. They're going to work with us. Likewise, if we get it, we're going to be working with them.
The president's virus czar, Moncef Slaoui, says he's confident that an early trial data that he's seen so far suggests that a few 100 million doses of the vaccine will be delivered by late 2020. Other health experts, such as Dr. Sanjay Gupta, say the normal timeline of vaccine trials is a number of years, not months, casting skepticism on the administration's push for a fast-tracked vaccine. In our State Watch, states are beginning to reopen parts of their economies and society by lifting some restrictions and letting some people go back to work. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo says the total number of hospitalizations for the coronavirus outbreak are down and that the state appears to be on somewhat of a downward trend. Governor Cuomo says half of the state's regions are preparing to reopen.
We have a smart phased reopening plan that has been reviewed by great experts in the field, and we feel very good about that. We're getting a little more nuanced in our analysis, looking for economic activities that you can start without crowds and without gatherings. Remember, the problem here are crowds and gatherings. So what can you do or what economic activity is willing to reopen without a crowd, right? They're talking about this in terms of sports. You can have baseball without a crowd, but it can still be televised. Great. If you can have economic activity without a crowd, that's great.
Team sports without a crowd, though, is like a marriage ceremony without witnesses. Part of the excitement of any game is being there, watching it, and for the players on the field, when the crowd goes wild, well, it makes their day. And if you know anything about the fans of the Seattle Seahawks, well, you know the fans, the spectators, are the 12th man on the field. The fans make or break the game. In other news along the eastern seaboard, beginning Monday, Rhode Island will allow restaurants to have outdoor dining with a maximum of 20 tables, 8 feet apart. There's a few other restrictions, including no more than a party of 5 at each table, and the tables must be seated by reservation. Some restaurant owners, like Dimitrios Klitsanikos, says business has been up and down over the course of the state's public health orders, but he's worried about getting workers back into his pizzeria.
These days we're very busy. These days it's been slow because, everything, all the businesses are closed. There's not much traffic. But what hurt us the most is, it's hard to find people to work. I mean, nobody wants to work. They're waiting till, that the whole thing is over.
And while some employees are reticent about a return to work for health reasons, some are doing it for financial reasons. Comes Rosas, who owns 2 seafood restaurants in Rhode Island, says, quite frankly, workers are making more money on unemployment.
And as far as the employees go, they're not going to make as much money because everything's going to be limited. And now with the stimulus they have, the unemployment, where everybody is getting an extra $600 a week, you figure with even their base unemployment of $200, $300 a week, they're almost making $1,000 a week. And to be honest with you, I know a lot of them don't want to go back to work. And they're not. I don't blame them. If they're not going to go back to work if they're going to wait on 1 table or 2 tables a night. It doesn't make sense.
Of course, the thing with state unemployment insurance and with the supplemental payments made available through the stimulus packages from the federal government is that all of this will come to an end at some point. So people will have to go back to work, especially as some states require individuals to prove they have been looking for work and that they have not refused any work. The California state government is predicting a huge budget shortfall due to the coronavirus outbreak. During a briefing Thursday, California Governor Gavin Newsom said he intends to slash $6.1 billion from a variety of programs in the state's operating budget, but sparing education, public health, and public safety from drastic cuts. He also said the state will draw from reserve accounts such as the Rainy Day Fund.
So we are committing in the documents we're putting out here today to use all of the $16.2 billion in the Rainy Day Reserve, but do it over a 3-year period. Because no matter what we do this year, it won't be enough to address the shortfall next year. And we have to be mindful of our responsibility to balance the budget every year, but do so strategically. Remember, no printing press here in the state of California.
Governor Newsom also said the state intends to draw more than $400 million from another reserve account to help offset the drop in tax revenue. Now, revenue from taxes are expected to drop a quarter as the state faces a 25% unemployment rate. Of course, Newsom is the one who, along with county government leaders, who shut down the state's economy. The state legislature has largely been absent during this whole time, not in session. So one could argue, Mr. Governor, open up regions of the state that are ready to return to self-governance and ready to let people go back to work. Several Northern California counties, including Modoc, Yuba, and Sutter counties, have begun to defy the governor's orders and are reopening several types of businesses that are not cleared for opening according to the governor's multi-stage plan. Now, San Diego, Orange, and Riverside counties in the southern part of the state have petitioned or are petitioning the governor for self-governance, so these counties themselves can decide how and when to best reopen their economies and relax some social restrictions. In fact, another protest was held in San Diego Saturday, where people who gathered wearing face coverings and seemingly socially distanced rallied for a reopening of the state. In Faith and Freedom, speaking of California, as the governor says his administration will meet the moment in response to the coronavirus outbreak, churches and business owners are making their own mark on the First Amendment. In this last week, entrepreneurial tycoon Elon Musk expressed his frustrations with Governor Newsom and the county of Alameda, where one of his Tesla electric car manufacturing plants is located. Musk threatened to pull his business and his substantial tax revenues out of the Golden State and go somewhere else, like Nevada or Texas. This prompted a San Diego-based state assembly member, Lorena Gonzalez Fletcher, to tweet, "F Elon Musk." Well, it's not the first time the gentlelady has dropped the F-bomb. She's done so before defending her own AB 5, the rewrite to California labor law she penned, which killed a lot of freelance jobs, which she then claims weren't really jobs anyway. But of course, the state has been sued by truck drivers, journalists, and other groups affected by the law, and the Assemblywoman has recently stated she's working on some amendments to the law. Gonzalez Fletcher has had a long-running dislike for Musk and Tesla. Musk responded back to Gonzalez Fletcher saying, quote, "Message received." Now, Musk has since reopened his manufacturing plant against local orders. Local business leaders say they're in the same boat. They've got employees who want to go back to work too, and they've got to get things moving again. Now, Musk posted on social media saying if authorities come to arrest anyone at his manufacturing plant, it should be him and not his workers. The Tesla founder has also apparently put some of his California homes up for sale. So Elon Musk is speaking his mind, exercising his First Amendment rights, and now thousands of churches in California want to do the same. During a demonstration in the city of Oakland Thursday, the Reverend Jim Doman, founder of Church United, made this impassioned plea.
Elon Musk, if you're listening, I can't afford a Tesla, so I can't afford to support you. But what I can afford to do is stand with you. And if the government's going to arrest you, come arrest me. Because I'm going to help the poor. I'm going to help anybody in need. I don't care where you are. I'm going to help you, even if the government says you're not essential.
Also at the rally, the Reverend Neil Maiman, president of the Values Advocacy Council, demanded Governor Newsom allow churches to reopen.
From thousands of churches, we are united in signing that declaration that the church is essential and the government should no longer keep our doors locked or closed. Governor Newsom, unlock these doors. Governor Newsom, open up our churches.
Several of the churches represented in that demonstration this past week say they plan to hold in-person worship on the day of Pentecost, which is on May 31st, despite any government orders which may remain in place. The day of Pentecost is a festival day in the Christian faith, marking the birthday of the Christian church, chronicled in the book of Acts of the Apostles, and said to have occurred some 50 days after the resurrection, or, as we know it, Easter Sunday. This week in U.S. history, May 10th, 1869, the Transcontinental Railroad is completed when the Union Pacific and Central Pacific Railroads linked up in Utah, unifying rail travel across the nation. May 11th, 1949, the sovereign state of Israel is admitted to the United Nations. Of course, that is a part of U.S. history because they are an ally and the U.S. has defended Israel for decades. May 12, 1932, the body of the baby boy of aviation great Charles Lindbergh is found dead 2 months after the child was kidnapped from the family estate in New Jersey. May 13, 1846, the United States declares war on Mexico over a dispute over the Republic of Texas. May 14, 1804, Lewis and Clark depart to explore the beautiful Pacific Northwest. May 15, 1918, U.S. airmail service begins, with letters carried by plane between New York, Philadelphia, and Washington, D.C. And May 16, 1991, Queen Elizabeth II becomes the first British monarch to deliver an address to the United States Congress. Now it's time for our listener survey. Some states are beginning to reopen their economies, some faster, some slower than others, and cutting back on social restrictions, reopening parks and beaches and whatnot. Well, our listener survey, do you think it's too early to be reopening up our states during this pandemic? And do you think it should be a statewide decision or by individual counties? Go to eddiejmccoven.com and register your answer on the survey form. If you like what you've heard on the program, feel free to contact me on social media at Eddie McCoven TV or through the contact form on my website. That's the program. Thank you for listening. This has been your week. I'm Eddie McCoven, and remember, as Sir Winston Churchill once said, we shall not falter, we shall not fail. Give us the tools, and we will finish the job. We'll catch you again next time, America.